Hey, Shalom. Call hello Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations to all my fellow laborers, doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives to do so. To the scattered, hopeful elect across the four corners of the earth, and those among the heathen nations that look like the heathen nations, pursuant to Jeremiah 12 and 9, known as the speckled birds. So this is not just a black thing. I am Disciple Parium, a follower of Great Millstone, coming to you with a lesson in truth and sincerity. So this lesson is going to be going over atheists, fools, and their heart. So I want to first start off with our first precept, going into Psalms 14. I'm going to read Psalms 14, 1 through 3. It says, to the chief musician, a psalm of David. The fool have said in his heart, there is no power, there is no God. They are corrupt, they have done abominable works, and there is none that doeth good. Just let me get over there. It says, the Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there if there were any that did understand and seek Yahweh. They are all gone by aside. They are all together become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. And so we know that Yahweh also quoted that in, let's go get it in Mark chapter 10, verse 18. Because the atheists are going to think that they're rational thinking. But the thing is, they still follow in man. Thinking that's going to get them through life. And it's really going to be their downfall. So this is Mark 10 and 18. And Yahweh said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Yahweh. All right, showing that there is a delineation between him and the Father. They're not the same. They're the same in thinking and mind and in mind and in spirit, but they're not the same being, persons. Going back to Psalms 14 and 2, where it says, the Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men. So again, I want to hit this, going to the classifications of men. You have the sons of God, right, who are the Israelites. Then you have the sons of men, which are the other nations. And then you have the sons of the wicked, which is, Esau, Edom, all right? So now I want to go into the book of Habakkuk. Chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up in him is not right. Slaki, let me restart over. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. Okay? Now, when you look at, or you try to talk to atheists, they don't take two things into consideration: prophecy that has happened, and also actual historical facts that have occurred as well. So I'm going to pull out two different historical facts that have occurred as far as that has happened in secular history. So I want to pull the book of Daniel, chapter 4. I'm going to read verse 28 and then from 32 to 34. So this is speaking about of Nebuchadnezzar, right? So I can go real quick find something. And so Nebuchadnezzar, he was the second king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, about around 605 BC. All right. Just wanted to get that little quick history, just to so you guys could follow along and know that as well. So verse 28, it says, "All this came unto King Nebuchadnezzar." Let's talk about the vision of Daniel's dream, or the dream that he had, Salaki. So I want to go verse down to verse 32. It says, "And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will." And that's, we have to understand that today, that the Lord, he puts those in rulership over, who he wants to put in rulership, is, mainly because we've gone off it as a people. So verse 33, "The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagles' feathers, and his nails were like bird claws." And then here, he had a change of heart. He got messed up by the Most High. So, and this is the same thing that's going to happen to a lot of these atheists, right? So, it must be too late. So, verse 34, "And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation." All right, it's an eternal kingdom, and in the future days it will be a kingdom established upon the throne of King David. But you may know that Yahweh Shai is going to be ruling on that throne. So going to that everlasting dominion, go to Isaiah 9:6. It says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." And that's Yahweh Shai. Verse 7, "Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord Yahweh Shai of hosts will perform this." All right, and these wacky-tacky Christian churches don't go into that. So now we're going to our second account of secular history. We get the book of 2nd Maccabees. We're going to read chapter 9. This will be 2 different sections in here, 5 through 12. And then later on, we're going to get to verse 21 to 23. I mean, 13 to 28, Slaki. All right, so let's do 5 to 12 first and address that. So this is speaking of Antiochus Epiphanes, right? And this is one of the 4 wicked roots that came out from King Alexander the Great. When Alexander had passed, he had 4 generals that was actually prophesied in the book of Daniel that occurred, and I believe it was, like over 400 years plus that Daniel had prophesied that to happen. But then yet you still have atheists. Make it make sense. But anyway, this is, we'll start on verse 5. But the Lord Almighty, the power of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague. Talk about he smote Antiochus Epiphanes. Or as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was remediless came upon him, and sore torments of the inner parts. Verse 6, and that most justly, for he had tormented unto men's bowels with many and strange torments. Verse 7, howbeit he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride. And that's Esau to a T. They want to be the head of everything, and because they were given their blessing, which was the blessing of the sword, and you can read that in the book of Genesis. I believe it was later on in like chapter 40 or something like that. But I could be wrong, but I know it was later on in the book of Genesis. And back to verse 7, it says, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. But it came to pass that he fell down from the chariot, carried violently, so that, having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pained. Just getting judged right here by the Most High. Verse 8, and thus he that a little afore thought he might command the waves of the sea, so proud was he beyond the condition of man, and weighed the high mountains in a balance, was now cast on the ground, and carried in a horse litter, showing forth all the manifest power of Yahweh. Verse 9, so that the worms rose up of the body of this wicked man, and whilst he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away, and the filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. So everybody had to see this. Everybody, Laura said, he was saying, everybody can get it. Okay. After all the wickedness that Antiochus did to in Jerusalem, and basically subjected them, saying that if they didn't fall under one accord, one sense, to be as one, just like the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and Yuval Noah Harari and all these people, right? He said you all gonna be one people, and no, that's not what the Most High deemed for His people. Okay, and then he made them conform to the ways of the Gentiles. That's the confusion with the church. They think everybody's can be of this this covenant, and that's not so. Okay, we were made as a nation to conform to the ways of the Grecians. All right. Back to verse 10. And the men that thought a little afore he could reach to the stars of heaven, no man could endure to carry for his intolerable stink. And he smelled so bad. All right, verse 11. Here, therefore, being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride, and to come to the knowledge of himself by the scourge of Yahweh, his pain increasing every moment. Verse 12. And when he himself could not abide in his own smell, he said these words, it is meet to be subject unto Yahweh, and that a man that is mortal should not proudly think of himself if he were Yahweh. He said, basically, he smelled so bad. He said, I should have thought myself to be like a power, especially your power. Now that he sees that he's all jacked up. Man, that's you put yourself in that picture, seeing all that. Going back to verse 5, it's lacking. One could get 2 Maccabees 5 and 17. And so haughty was Antiochus in mind that he considered not the Lord was angry for a while for the sins of them that dwelt in the city, and therefore his eyes were not upon the place. Now, let's see, going back to verse right here where it says, howbeit, verse 7, he nothing at all ceased from bragging, but still was filled with pride. I'll have a precept for that. I want to go to Acts. It's like, let's see. Chapter 9 and 1. Just speaking about Saul before he came Paul. And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughters against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest. So it's kind of a similar situation right here. Saul was filled with anger before the Lord placed His Spirit upon him, right? But obviously, with these two accounts that I'm reading, the Lord didn't place the Spirit upon these wicked men. Saul was different because he was already a priest and learned in the ways, and he was a Pharisee, so he was very knowledgeable. So the Lord used him, who already was of His people, to teach His people, and yes, that includes the Gentiles who are Israelite foreigners. So let's go back. 2 Maccabees 9. Going back to 2 Maccabees chapter 9, verse 9. It reads, so the worms rose up in the body of this wicked man while he lived in sorrow and pain. It's just how Herod had died. He died of pain too. And you can find that in Acts. Going back to Acts again, chapter 12 and 21 to 23. Let me get that. It says, and upon a set day, Herod, arrayed in royal apparel, sat upon his throne and made an oration to him unto them, basically, unto the people. It says, and the people gave a shout, saying, it is the voice of God and not of man. Verse 23. And as soon as they said that, and immediately the angel of the Lord smote him, because he gave not God the glory, and he was eaten of worms and gave up the ghost. Man, these accounts. All right. Secular history here. All right. So let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 9. We left off in verse 10. Where it says, and the man that thought a little aforetime could reach the stars. It reminded me of Obadiah 1 and 4. All right. And I want to get that over here real quick, just to save some time. I'm going to be on my computer so I could go back and forth a little bit easier. Obadiah 1 and 4, though he exalt thyself as the eagle, and though though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. The Lord's going to bring them down, right? That's what, the space programs and and everything they do and trying to get into a different planets. No, the Lord's on the jazz. He's got a plan for that. Also, Isaiah 14:13. And it reads, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into the heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north." You know, so he's, you don't have a plan. They think they have a plan. Esau, you don't. In verse 12, it says, "And when he himself could not abide in thy own smell," and see right here, right here it says that a man is mortal should not proudly think of himself as, this is where he said he shouldn't think of himself as a god. Immediately I was thinking Second Thessalonians 2:4. We bring this out a lot. Camp. It says, "Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God," right, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Again, that's what these proud, wicked elite, World Economic Forum type people are doing, trying to, see themselves as a power. You don't need no God. That's what they're saying. We have a water sources. And we clean this and clean that. Come on. All right, so let's go ahead and read on from verse 13 on down. It says, "The wicked person vowed also unto the Lord, who now no more would have mercy upon him, saying thus, that the holy city, Jerusalem, to the which he was going to haste to lay it even with the ground, and to make it a common burial place, he was set at liberty." Because the Lord he's got plans for Jerusalem. He wasn't going to let it be destroyed like that. All right. And verse 15, "And as touching the Jews, whom he had judged not worthy so much as to be buried, but to be cast out with their children, to be devoured with the fowls of the wild beasts, he himself make them all equals to the citizens of Athens." He's saying, "Oh, you guys are all equals as Athens. Just, you're like Athenians. No." Verse 16, "And the holy temple, which before he had spoiled, he would garnish with godly gifts, and restore all the holy vessels, with many more, and out of his own revenue defray the charges belonging to the sacrifices. Yea, that also he would become a Jew himself." Look at this. Now he can just convert, just like these Amalekites, Khazarian small hats, right? "And go through all the world that was inhabited, and declare the power of Yahweh. But for all this, his plan would not cease, for the just judgment of Yahweh was come upon him. Therefore, the sparing of his health, he wrote unto the Jews, and let a letter underwritten, containing the form of the supplication after this manner." So this is the letter that he wrote unto the Jews. Basically, this will be a "I'm sorry" letter. "Antiochus, king and governor, to the good Jews, his citizen, wishes much joy, health, and prosperity. If ye and your children fare well, and your great affairs be to your contentment, I give very great thanks to God, having my hope in heaven. As for me, I was weak, or else I would have remembered kindly your honor and good will, returning out of Persia, and being taken with a grievous disease. I thought it necessary to care for the common safety of all, not distrusting mine health, but having great hope to escape this sickness. But considering that even my father, at what time he had an army into the high countries, appointed a successor, to the end that if any that fell out contrary to expectation, or if any tidings were brought with the grievous, then of the land knowing to whom the state was left, might not be troubled. Again, considering how that the princes of that our borderers and neighbors unto my kingdom wait for opportunities and expect what should be the event. I have appointed my son Antiochus king, whom I have often commended unto many of you. When I went up into the high provinces, to whom I have written as followeth. It says, therefore I pray thee, request you to remember the benefits that I have done unto you generally, and in especial, and that there are very many, and that every man will be still faithful to me and my son. So even in his shittiest state, he's saying, you guys hopefully be faithful to me and my son. Come on, man. For I am persuaded that he, understanding my mind, will favorably and graciously yield to your desires. Thus the murderer and blasphemer have suffered more grievous than as he entreateth other men, so died he a miserable death in a strange country in the mountains. All right. And look at this. And Philip, that was brought up with him, carried away his body, who also, fearing the son of Antiochus, went into Egypt to Ptolemais Philometor. So Ptolemy was another of the generals, all right, that came out of Alexander. So, with that said, I want to go ahead and finish off. I'm going to read this. This is Isaiah chapter 26, 10 and 11 in GNT. So even though you are kind to the wicked, they never learn to do what is right. Even here in the land of righteous people, they still do wrong. It says they refuse to recognize your greatness. Your enemies, verse 11, your enemies do not know that you will punish them. Lord, Yahweh Shai, put them to shame and let them suffer. Let them suffer the punishment you have prepared. Show them how much you love your people. With that, again, this is going into lesson of atheists, fools in their heart. I pray this lesson was edifying. Kwam Yasharallah. On to the next. Shalom.